Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series with me, your host, Gyle. It's been far too long since we had a nice high-level ladder match, so here's one for you guys. Big shout-out to Samurai Soul for pointing this one out to me. He mentioned it was a good one to look out for, so I should head on over to the replay vault and pick it out, so I did. It's going to be between Rock and Madstalk on Finn's Revenge once again. So let's head on over to that lovely little tropical paradise. See how these guys are going to get on. So down here at the bottom in the red corner we have Madstalk. He's going Cybrin. He's going to go one land factory, 5 P-gens, and then another land factory, and then make his approach with a comm. Slightly different than your standard build. You often expect to see the comm get involved with at least a couple of mechs building, but that's not what's going to happen here. Rock, however, in the blue corner up the top, he's also going Cybrin. So we've got a Cybrin mirror matchup. He's going land, 2 P-gen, and then 2 mechs. Much more standard build. It's generally what you see most of the pros going these days, and indeed most people. So, and then he's going to head south, and I didn't realize you could do this actually. He's going to just pass the little hill on this left-hand side. He's got access to this reclaim. I didn't think you could reach that, but he can. You can get that. You can get that rock and also that, and then he's going to head south and try and make his way around the back. So that's a nice little bit of information there, which I wasn't aware of. And very typical, of course, Finn's Revenge. You expect to send your comm down at least one of these two sides and start doing some hardcore damage to your opponent's base. Very common if you can get it in here. You want to go after a couple of mexes. The target of choice more often than not, however, is the hydrocarbon, of course. Try and bottleneck your opponent on power. And you can see Madstalk has going for an adjacency bonus there, stacking his land factory or queuing it up on the hydrocarbon, then adding 3 more behind. He's going pretty heavy land factory spam, but we're going second air for Rock, so he's going for a slightly heavier air build. Of course, both these guys going Cybrin, so no floaty cheeky with any land units. It's going to be Mantis spam out the wazoo, you imagine, and there's going to be lots of bottlenecking on the 2 land bridges you expect. Got a hunter out here for Madstalk. He's going to nestle in the cranny in the middle in this little nook and wait for some poor unsuspecting engineer that looks like it's going to be this one to make his way in. But we've got a jester out, and so that's probably not going to happen. He's going to fly straight over, see the hunter, fire once and go, whoops, no you don't. And he is on engineer protection detail. And now he's going to head south, and of course we still don't even have a air factory out for Madstalk, so this is going to go pretty unchallenged for the moment. He's going to have to start working on some Sky Slammers to deal with that. As the Jester takes out another engineer that had queued up a radar, and that's going to be slightly irritating. That would irritate me at least. And you can see now the air factory goes down, but if the Jester can take out that engineer, that's going to slow that production out. First Sky Slammer off the pad, but one Sky Slammer takes a long time to get through a Jester. You can see how well he's dealing with that fire. He has taken out that engineer, which will slow up the production of that air factory. Another Sky Slammer off the pad will mean that Jester has to be a little bit more careful now as it circles round. But we're getting some Mantis making its way back towards the Nook on Rock's side. But Rock is getting just the bare minimum amount of Mantis out to protect. The comms have passed each other, and by the looks of things, they've fired in a couple of shots at each other, so they're well aware of the standard tactic that they're going for. Rock transfers the control of one of Madstalk's mass extractors to him, and exactly the same thing happens for a Madstalk on that side. Of course, if you're heading down this side with your comm, you have a lot less access to mass that you can cap compared to your opponent that's got access on this side. 3, so it generally makes sense to send your, if you're on top, to send your comm down on the left side, because you can steal 1 and then 2 mass down on that side as well. But it hasn't happened this time. Another Jester out. Oh, it's the same one actually. He's got 4 kills to his name. He's on 144 hit points, and he's forcing Madstalk to the right hand side, probably off into the water. A couple of Mantis up here as well from Rock, not going to get too far. As the comm from Rock makes his way left, you can see a bunch of point defense going down from Madstalk's definitely the right play. Needs to prevent Rock from making his way into the main base. As the ACU goes to town on that land factory that's adjacent to the hydrocarbon. He needs to take out the hydrocarbon, certainly. See how that's going to affect Madstalk. That's going to bottleneck him on power. You can see he's only on 36 net. And as soon as that disappears, wow, okay, that's going to be annoying. Madstalk now slightly in trouble in economic terms, and Rock actually making a play for the side island at the same time. Jester going to be able to deal with that quite well, needs to deal the damage to the mobile anti-air gun, get rid of that. Once that's down, he's got free reign. Goes to the radar first, of course, because that will give him the best amount of coverage, or sorry, ability to hide on his way down, and hopefully allow that mobile anti-air vehicle to lose tracking on him. Madstalk just chilling off the side island. Doesn't want to take too much damage or unnecessary damage on his comm. Of course, Cyber and ACU very weak indeed compared to the others. And he's just going to hide in the water, wait for that Jester to go, and then he's going to snag that mass point. But Tag Rock being very annoying indeed. He's got quite far ahead and managed to take out that hydrocarbon and 2 factories, it looks like. So 2 factories and a hydrocarbon down in the main base of Madstalk. Very irritating indeed. Another Jester on its way to clear the top island. So Rock looking to spread out and take the sort of fringe mass on the sides of this map. As Madstalk picks up that side mass point, or at least kills it off. A little bit of a standoff on the left walkway between Stalk and Rock. Q's and Mantis just kind of building up, although it seems to be building up slightly more consistently in favor of Stalk. Rock now making his way around. This is quite interesting. He's going to go right around the side and maybe grab this mass point, and then probably going to have to get off actually into the water, as a large proportion of that forward unit group retreats slightly. Allows Rock to cross over, pick up that mass point. It's probably a little bit of a mistake. Need to do that. Certainly didn't look like Rock was going to overwhelmingly win that. But Stalk, his comm is now getting into a similar position that Rock's was in a few minutes ago. But there is, however, a lot more defending PD up at the back of Rock. Of course, Stalk has taken X amount longer time to get into this position, so Rock's base is a bit more developed. Still, he can get around the side here well out the range of that and take out the hydrocarbon. It would have been nice to probably plonk that sort of around here somewhere. See enough players do that. I'm not really sure why. It's definitely the target of choice for most players. But in terms of land units, actually in terms in general, it seems like Madstalk might be doing okay on mass. He's sitting on about 16 mass. Tag Rock sitting on 22. So Rock is ahead currently on mass, but only by a little bit. It's not a huge amount in it. But certainly in terms of air dominance, it's all in Rock's favor. Whole bunch of Mantis pushing past on the right hand side with a few Medusa as well. So he's got some nice damaging capabilities for structures and buildings. And great thing about Sky Slammers, of course, is the damage, the toggle ability that they can attack ground as well. Whoa, Madstalk making a little incursion on the back. Huge quantities of Rock's land and air forces going after the comm. Gets him down to 2,000 hit points. Nearly missed that. Happened so quickly, the speed at which he withdrew his troops, getting the Jesters in there. Very nice maneuver from Rock, and lucky for Madstalk to get out of trouble as quickly as he did. Mantis getting popped at the back from Madstalk as he makes his way around. But in terms of map control on the main island, it looks very much like Rock has yielded most of it. Does manage to continue to harass with his ACU in the middle. But there isn't a single Sky Slammer in all of this, so these Jesters can go on unmolested and continue to just pop away at will. Doesn't matter necessarily that Rock's units are slightly inferior in number, and there are also Cerberus turrets up in the main base, so Rock has made the transition to T2, and that is why we've seen so much map control ceded on the main island in terms of Rock's positioning. It's because he's been sending a lot of energy and mass into that upgrade. He's been producing much fewer units, but we're starting to see hoplites out now and deceivers as well, so Rock taking advantage of everything in the Cybran arsenal to get the job done. And this could be interesting indeed to see how this works. We've got a sonar system up here. That's going to give him pretty good idea where, as to the location of that commander. He's going to be well aware of where it's at. And there's one up down here as well, so Rock going all out with the intel coverage. It's nice that he must be quite concerned as to the any progress on Navy. It's always a worry on this map because Navy can be such a game changer. The proximity of the starting locations is so very close to the coast indeed. Hoplites moving in, forcing a little band of Mantis on the left land bridge to withdraw to the main pack. Doesn't want to progress too far, because a couple of quick overcharges and that will get annihilated. So you've got any energy storage in place. I can't see it at the moment. That doesn't mean it's not there. A few Medusas out on the right hand side trying to get rid of that mass point. Needs to get out there and pick that up and assume control of his half of the island once again. Of course, he's got a little bit of a leeway because he's got these two side islands, so that will be giving him a nice little bit of extra mass. Now a few incursions from some out-teched T1 units from Mad Stalk. Gonna have to probably accept defeat on those, that they're probably not going to make it back home, especially not with Rock's commander coming in. And Rock needs to get some engineers back in place to pick up these two mass points, but it's quite a grisly little group of T1 that Stalk is massing on the left land bridge. And certainly with how out of place the Rock's forces on the right, I think he could probably go for a push now. Of course, the concern is the Jesters hasn't got anything to really deal with that. Needs to get more Sky Slammers in the mix. Could do with getting the switch to T2 on. See if any of these factories are. He has actually made the switch to T2, starting to produce hoplites, so he has kept up with the tech game. Slightly behind in timing, however, of course, as there are already a good deal on the field for Rock. We'll see how many he's in this forward band. He's got 10 on the field in the forward band, and that will make a mess of your T1 blob. There's not much you can do about it, except maybe get your commander in and overcharge some stuff. I'm still not certain he's got any storage in place. Get it out of the water. May well have some that I've missed. There, he has indeed. You can see him one-shotting one or two of those hoplites as they make their way past. Another one goes down. And he's starting to produce some. So he's buying time at his main base with that little maneuver, which allows him to get a decent number of hoplites up for himself. So an awful lot of these interceptors are now bingo on fuel. Rock's going to use them to do a little bit of scouting over the main base. But look what Stalk has been hiding. There's a hell of a lot of interceptors that have been landed. And now air control is suddenly switched and in Stalk's favor. And these ones aren't going to be able to do much at all because they, as I say, are out of fuel. And if Stalk engages, which he's going to do, he will be able to destroy those without any problem whatsoever. And this little group forward hoplites now looking fearfully outgunned. Actually getting a little bit of tech going in the center of Rock's base. We've got T2 air now as well, so we've got some renegades being produced. So just when Stalk catches up with one little bit of tech, he then finds him out-teched in another way elsewhere as Rock continuously transitions, and that's exactly what you need to do at this level. Mad Stalk sitting on 18 mass, Rock sitting on, God, can that be right? A whopping 49. Is that can't be right. He must be reclaiming something somewhere. I suppose, well, maybe. It's got T2 mass extractors all over the place. And if that is the case, he's going to really struggle. And I love what he's doing here. Look at the number of sonar systems going up all over the place. It's not going to have the biggest impact on the game because Stalk hasn't decided to go Navy. But of course, Rock doesn't know that at this point. He is just keeping options open. And T1 sonar, so cheap to build, it really doesn't hurt you to do so. Jester's coming in now to defend the main island base of Rock. He's got some renegades in the area as well. Mad Stalk just sitting on the left-hand side with his ACU still unupgraded. Much the same as Rock has got some veterancy on. It's got an extra 1,000 HP. Getting a little bit of an air engagement happening over on the right land bridge as Rock tries to reassert his control in the air game. And he's actually managed to do it, so which is very useful considering he's now switched up to T2 air and is pumping out renegades. There are now 2 or 3 on the field. The fact that he's got that air factory to T2 will give him a lot more build capacity, although there are 2 T1 air factories now up and running for Mad Stork. Engineers going pop, Mantis going pop. And this is looking very greasy indeed for Mad Stork. He's got nothing over there really. He's got a couple of bangers. They will actually be able to deal with it, but he's going to lose a lot of Mantis in the process. Lots of Mantis, lots of Medusa going pop. That blob has been thinned out quite dramatically. Lucky he produced those bangers. It's a shame you only had 2 of them. If you'd had a few more, he would have saved quite a lot of that. But there's a lot of hoplites now moving in from Tag Rock. On the right-hand side, he's going to meet a similar number reinforcing from Mad Stork. But this time, Mad Stork has his comm out of the water. And Rock, not wanting to be overcharged, is going to move out the way. Actually got some torpedo bombers that were produced specifically to harass Stork's comms, sitting in the middle lagoon. And in terms of map control, Rock looking very dominant indeed. I like what he's doing there. He's got a couple of air staging facilities up there. Wants to continue with this heavy air play. It's just sonar buoys everywhere. The engineers moving to the back. They've been on a mission just to cover. If we take a look at what that looks like from Rock's perspective, you see the coverage, basically the whole map, except for these little quiet zones. Most of that's on land. Get rid of that and go back to normal view. You can see Stork is now making a push on the left-hand side. There's a good, decent bunch of engineers that he could disrupt if he can get in amongst them over there, but he thinks better of it. Concerned about the positioning of all these hoplites. Certainly there's a bunch more down here. Life being made slightly difficult by this deceiver from Rock, giving him good coverage, good stealth capabilities, of course, the Cybran, and using their race for all of their effectiveness. Mad Stork taking an awful lot of renegade fire now as he heads towards the middle lagoon. A whole lot of interceptors coming in now from Stork, trying to pop the renegades first, and I think he's going to manage to do it. The defending interceptors of Rock will make him pay in kind, but as long as he keeps the numbers of renegades down, cuts out that air advantage slightly. There's even torpedo bombers in the area, I guess, waiting for Stork to make some maneuver into the lagoon again. But lots and lots of hoplites, and look at what Rock's doing. He's just cordoning off the whole left-hand side of the island with epic amounts of wall sections. Certainly not a terrible idea. And we've actually got T3 on the field now for Rock. You can see a bunch of loyalists there that would pretty much ruin Stork's day if he just engaged with them now. Stork's still sitting on T2. T1 air, T2 land, as opposed to the T2 air and T3 land that Rock has now transitioned into. And I think that is probably going to be game. I don't see any way back for Stork now. Very competent play indeed for Rock. Knock that back up a notch. As the loyalists engage, that blob for Stork has to withdraw, trying to bunch up as many units as possible, using a little bit of land to give him more time, but he knows it's not going to be enough. He throws up the GG. Very confident play indeed from Rock. That is going to be game, and he knows it. As those loyalists get into range, they tear into that blob. Still playing cautiously, Rock, not wanting to give away any advantage just because his opponent calls the GG, which is very wise indeed. You can see Stork is trying to get a T3 upgrade in to deal with that, but that's going to be too late as those loyalists make their way in, popping all of that reclaiming build capacity on their way in. follows it up with the hoplites in the rear, getting a nice volley onto that main air factory. Gradually that blob from Mad Stork turns to nothing, and Stork control Ks in capitulation. Very nicely played indeed from Rock. I can see why Samurai Soul wanted me to see that. Is a great video. Short one today, guys. Will be some more to come in the coming days, but from now, that is Gyle signing out.